Walk alone, Rhode Island, see alone, Wisconsin, and alone. Ladies and gentlemen, life is a journey where most of us crave companionship, support, and validation. We want people to walk with us, rise with us, and celebrate our victories with us. But the reality is, the greatest battles of life are fought in solitude. The moments that define who you are will never come when the crowd is cheering, but when silence surrounds you. Walking alone requires courage. Rising alone requires resilience, and winning alone requires unshakable faith in yourself. When you embrace solitude, you begin to realize that the only person you truly need on your side is you. Number 1, walking alone builds inner strength. When you decide to walk alone, at first it feels like a punishment. You look around and see no one walking beside you, and your heart questions why you were left behind. The path feels empty, the silence feels unbearable, and you wonder if your footsteps even matter. But as you continue to take one step after another, you begin to realize something extraordinary. You realize that strength does not come from being surrounded by people, it comes from knowing that even when you have no one, you can still keep moving. Walking alone is the beginning of self-discovery. It forces you to face the conversations within yourself that you often avoid when others distract you. In those moments of solitude, you begin to understand your fears, your weaknesses, and your strengths. You realize that the world is not against you. It is simply shaping you to become someone who can survive without constant support. Walking alone does not mean you are lonely. It means you are brave enough to face the silence. Every step you take on your own builds a wall of courage within you. You stop waiting for others to validate your choices. You stop seeking permission to move forward. And you stop needing someone to walk with you just to feel strong. Your journey becomes yours alone. And in that ownership, you find a freedom you never knew existed. That is the power of walking alone. People who walk alone are often misunderstood. The world questions their choices, criticizes their silence, and doubts their path. But walking alone is not about pleasing the world. It is about honoring your soul. It is about realizing that you were never created to blend in with the crowd. You were created to walk a path that is uniquely yours. And the courage to do so only comes when you stop fearing solitude. As you walk alone, you begin to notice how much stronger you become. The things that once scared you no longer hold the same power. The voices that once distracted you fade into the background. And the insecurities that once kept you small slowly disappear. You begin to trust yourself more, you begin to believe in yourself more, and you begin to rely on yourself more. That is the gift of solitude. It transforms fear into confidence. Walking alone is not easy, but it is necessary. It teaches you to rely on the only person who will never abandon you. And when you learn to walk alone, no journey feels impossible, no challenge feels unbearable, and no dream feels too far away. Walking alone builds you into a person who no longer fears being left behind because you know that you are enough to carry yourself forward. Number 2, rising alone creates unstoppable resilience. Falling is a part of life, but rising again is what defines you. And when no one is there to lift you up, you are left with only 2 choices: stay down or rise on your own. Rising alone may feel like the hardest thing in the world, but it is also the most powerful. Because when you rise without help, you realize that your strength is not borrowed, it is yours, and it can never be taken away. The world often celebrates victories, but rarely acknowledges the lonely battles behind them. Rising alone is one of those battles. No one sees the nights you cry in silence. No one sees the mornings you push yourself to get up despite the weight on your chest. No one sees the struggles you face when your mind whispers that you can't. Yet, when you choose to rise alone, you prove that resilience is not something others can give you. It is something you create within yourself. Rising alone means you no longer depend on external encouragement. You stop waiting for someone to notice your pain. You stop hoping that someone will come to save you. Instead, you become your own savior, your own motivator, and your own reason to rise. And when that happens, nothing in this world can break you completely. because you have learned that you can rise no matter how many times you fall. Every time you rise alone, your spirit grows stronger. You begin to look at challenges differently. Instead of fearing failure, you start to see it as a chance to rebuild yourself even stronger than before. You realize that each setback is not a sign of weakness, but a hidden opportunity to prove your resilience. And slowly, you begin to transform into someone unshakable, someone who cannot be destroyed by circumstances. Rising alone is also about rewriting your story. It is about refusing to let defeat define who you are. It is about saying, yes, I fell, but I am not staying here. Each time you rise, you send a message to yourself that you are greater than your struggles. And that message becomes your identity. It becomes the fire that keeps you moving forward, no matter what stands in your way. Resilience is not born in comfort, it is born in solitude. When you rise alone, you teach yourself that nothing is permanent, not pain, not loss, not failure. You realize that storms come and go, but your ability to rise will always remain. That realization makes you unstoppable. Because once you know you can rise alone, nothing in this world can ever hold you down again. Number 3, winning alone brings true fulfillment. Winning feels different when it is achieved alone. It carries a weight that is deeper, a sweetness that is purer, and a sense of pride that cannot be explained. Winning alone means you carried the battles, the fears, and the doubts on your own shoulders and still came out victorious. And when that happens, you don't just celebrate the outcome, you celebrate yourself. When you win alone, you understand the value of hard work like never before. There is no one to share the credit with, no one to dilute the victory, no one to claim the effort was not yours. The world may not know the sacrifices you made, but you do. And that knowledge makes the victory priceless. It becomes more than just success. It becomes a testimony of your strength and your persistence. Winning alone also brings humility. You know the nights you cried, the battles you fought, the doubts you overcame. And because you carried it all alone, you appreciate the victory in a way that those who had constant support may never understand. You don't take the win for granted, because you know the cost of every step that led you there. There is a deep fulfillment in knowing that you were your own anchor when storms tried to drown you. Winning alone means you didn't quit when it would have been easier to stop. You didn't let loneliness break you, you didn't let fear defeat you, and you didn't let failure silence you. And that sense of inner strength is far greater than any trophy or recognition. The beauty of winning alone is that it makes you unafraid of future challenges. Once you know you can win without help, you stop fearing the absence of others. You stop worrying about who will support you, who will stay, and who will leave. You become free because you know that you don't need anyone else to validate your victories. You are enough. True fulfillment comes not from winning with the world cheering, but from winning when no one believed in you. It comes from proving to yourself that you were capable all along. And once you taste that kind of fulfillment, you no longer chase applause. You chase growth. You chase resilience. And you chase the best version of yourself. Number 4, solitude reveals your true identity. When you are surrounded by people, it is easy to lose yourself in their noise. You listen to their opinions, their judgments, and their expectations until you forget your own voice. But when you are left alone, when the world goes quiet, you begin to hear something that was always there, your truth. Solitude strips away the masks you wear for others and brings you face to face with who you really are. Being alone is often mistaken for emptiness, but it is actually a gift. It gives you space to reflect on your life without distraction. You begin to see patterns in your behavior, decisions you made out of fear, and dreams you abandoned because of doubt. You start asking yourself questions you never had time for before. Who am I without the opinions of others? What do I truly want? What is the purpose of my journey? And those questions lead you closer to your true identity. In solitude, you also discover the difference between temporary desires and lifelong passions. The noise of the world makes you chase things that don't belong to your heart. But when you are alone, you realize what truly fulfills you, what truly excites you, and what truly brings you peace. You stop living to please others and start living in alignment with your authentic self. Solitude is not about isolation, it is about revelation. It reveals to you the power of your own company. It shows you that you can be your own best friend, your own guide, and your own source of joy. The more you embrace solitude, the less afraid you become of being left behind. Because you realize that even when you have no one, you still have yourself. And that is enough. As you discover your true identity in solitude, you begin to walk differently, think differently, and live differently. You no longer feel the need to compete with others because you finally understand your own path. You no longer crave validation because you know your worth. And you no longer chase acceptance because you have already accepted yourself. This self-acceptance becomes your strength. The most beautiful thing about solitude is that it makes you whole. It teaches you that your value does not depend on the presence of others, but on the presence of your authentic self. And once you know who you truly are, no one can take that away from you. Solitude is not loneliness, it is clarity. And clarity is what guides you to a life of purpose. Number 5, walking, rising, and winning alone inspires others. At first, your journey of walking, rising, and winning alone feels like it belongs only to you. You see it as your struggle, your pain, and your responsibility. But what you don't realize is that while you are silently fighting your battles, others are watching. They are observing your resilience, your courage, and your strength, and they are finding hope in your journey. When people see you walk alone without fear, they begin to question their own dependence on the crowd. They realize that maybe they too can take that first step without waiting for approval. When they watch you rise after every fall, they see that pain does not have to define them, that resilience is possible even in silence. And when they witness you winning against all odds, they are reminded that nothing is impossible when faith in oneself is unshakable. Your courage becomes a silent inspiration for those who have lost faith in themselves. Without even trying, your story becomes their reason to keep going. They may never tell you, but your strength plants seeds of hope in hearts that are close to giving up. This is the power of leading by example, not through words, but through action, through persistence, and through the refusal to quit. The truth is, walking, rising, and winning alone is never truly just about you. It is about creating a path that others can follow. Your journey becomes a light for those still lost in darkness. Your victories become proof that dreams can be achieved without constant support. And your resilience becomes a reminder that strength is not something we borrow, it is something we build within ourselves. When others see you living your truth courageously, they begin to find courage in their own truth. When they see you refusing to break under pressure, they begin to believe they can handle their own storms. And when they see you embracing solitude as power, they stop fearing their own loneliness. You may not even know it, but your life becomes a ripple that inspires change far beyond what you can see. The greatest legacy you can leave behind is not wealth, not fame, and not recognition. It is the inspiration you give to others through your journey. Walking, rising, and winning alone might feel like a lonely road, but it is the road that lights the way for countless others. And that is where your journey turns from personal victory into collective hope, into something greater than yourself, into something eternal. At the end of the day, when life pushes you into moments where you must walk alone, it is not a sign of weakness, it is an invitation to discover your real strength. Walking alone teaches you that your journey is your own. Rising alone shows you that resilience is born in silence. And winning alone reminds you that fulfillment comes from within. The loneliness that once felt like a burden slowly transforms into a blessing, because it is in those quiet moments where you finally meet the strongest version of yourself. To walk alone is to trust your path. To rise alone is to trust your strength. And to win alone is to trust your purpose. You do not need the crowd to validate you, nor the applause to define you. All you need is the courage to keep moving forward even when the world goes silent. Because the truth is, those who dare to walk alone, rise alone, and win alone are the ones who inspire the world without even trying.